why it's happening and why a rebound is just 48 hours away, probably less. We'll talk about that. Also, our seller's going to step in. Our buyer's going to step in. $260 million in liquidations over the last 24 hours. Where the market's headed to next. We got Magic joining us to discuss the markets and current trade setups of some of the altcoins. We have the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. We also have CPI numbers coming in on Wednesday. What can we expect for volatility? Fidelity launches a tokenized fund. Which blockchain did they use? The answer may or may not surprise you. It's not what you think it is. But why one altcoin could potentially still benefit from the Fidelity tokenization on this blockchain. Also, Bitcoin will be front and center, tied to the hip with Tucker Carlson, one of the most viewed, watched people, commentators in the entire world. What is that going to do for Bitcoin adoption moving forward? Also, Polygon is spending money again to try to bring developers into their ecosystem. Have you given up on Polygon? Have we given up on Polygon? We'll have that discussion today and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information, and we repackage that thing up in a fun floral dress shirt kind of way.
Wow.
Bitcoin, 66,000. Everything's on sale. I will go through the list of all the altcoins that I am sniping out because it's a flash sale on everything.
Are you panicking
altcoin today? I am not panicking.
Well,
I'm extremely excited.
You're going to panic after you see this.
What is that?
People say sellers are becoming exhausted. Well, here's a live look at the actual sellers. It's the man who not only broke his leg during Navy SEAL training, but finished his complete run. And, well, these are the sellers we're going up against. And, well, for every seller, there should be a buyer, right? Supply and demand.
Running here in Vegas, right? He lives here.
Yeah, I know that. Great guy.
Have you ever
very inspirational?
Have you ever drove past him on the way to the studio?
I have not. You haven't either. Now, this is what the sellers at this moment feels like are, right? The people that never give up, the guy who will finish his training, his run with a broken leg. And while we also have buyers about to step in, well, here's a live look at the buyers waiting to step in. So. All right, time to enter the market. Well, actually, I don't know. Well, I mean, okay.
How like he lost his seat for it.
Where do I buy?
Mr. President, thank you.
Buyers are lost, sellers are determined.
That is the leader.
That is what we're up against,
our
guys.
great country.
Yeah. We got Magic backstage. I'm just going to bring him on right now. We're going to take a quick peek at the ETF flows. Streak has been broken. And we'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart and what kind of setup are we seeing for Bitcoin? And I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we can point to at least looking back historically over the last, when I say historically, I mean the beginning of this year, why we've seen these dips around this time. And there's an answer for that and why we'll see a rally in the next 48 hours. So with that being said, let's bring Magic on. Magic, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you guys today?
We're excellent. Happy to have you back again. We love having you on the show, my friend. Magic, I want to, while you're on here, I'm just going to flip over to my laptop. I'm going to talk about the ETF flows. So we have, about to sneeze. Yesterday was the first day of outflows in almost 20 days. So you can see here, a paltry 6.3 million of inflows from BlackRock, 7.6 million from Bitwise. Everyone else was either red or zero, including Grayscale for a third straight day, negative flows. So net outflows, bringing our grand cumulative total to we'll call it $65 million of outflows, which, as I mentioned, has broken a 19-day inflow streak ahead of the CPI report and FOMC meeting. Now, I did mention a lot of volatility. Well, here's the reason. We're getting a double whammy on Wednesday. May inflation report clashes with Fed meeting. Traders brace for volatile Wednesday. But don't worry, because our friend Elizabeth Warren has sent a letter to the Honorable Jerome Powell encouraging him to cut the interest rate. Does she not know that the Fed is completely separate from government?
Are they?
I mean,
They're supposed to be.
I think Trump did the same thing. It's
he
all
did.
about the election. They just want to look good.
Yeah, Trump brought him in and said, "We need you to cut rates, man." And so, yeah, it's Fed is supposed to be independent. That doesn't mean politicians, even presidents like Donald Trump did back in 2017 or 2018, I believe, to try to influence what the chair of the Federal Reserve is going to do. Now, speaking of the Federal Reserve, and Magic, I'm going to go through this real quick, and then I'll throw it over to you for a Bitcoin chart. We take a look at, all right, what have we seen so far in the FOMC meetings? We had a meeting that finished on the 31st of January, 20th of March, and the 1st of May. Let's go to a Bitcoin chart and see how price action was the week of an FOMC meeting. So the first green line, right? So this green candle here is that Monday, right? Monday going into the FOMC meeting, we saw Bitcoin consolidate sideways and then have a rally up. The next one was that March meeting, right? This is that candle on that Monday. Leading into FOMC, we saw a drawdown of around 11% for Bitcoin. But guess what? The day of the FOMC meeting, Bitcoin not only gained back everything it lost the day prior, which was around a 8.3% candle to the downside, but it had a little bit of a spill off and then rallied up to around $71.7 thousand. What about the very last one we had, May 1st? Right, leading into the week of the FOMC, we saw Bitcoin go down 13%. And on the day of the FOMC, right, we saw price start to creep up to the open, couldn't get there. And the very next day, we saw green candles and Bitcoin rallied around 14%. What are we seeing now, right? What are we seeing now? We're seeing a spill off leading into the FOMC. Are we going to see another rally tomorrow or the day after? Magic, what is your chart telling you on the Bitcoin setup? Should we expect something similar like we saw the last two FOMC meetings where we had massive rallies that we took back everything we gave away on the dips?
Well, we all know that past performance is not indicative of future results, but there is a way to look at this that's a little less subjective and more objective. Really simplified this chart again. This is something that we talked about, man, it was a long time ago. It's been a while since we've had to cover this type of chart, but these are yearly levels for me that every year I give out to our group. They're good for the entire year. They're good for the session, so to speak. The session is 1 year in this instance. So I'm really looking for about 65K. This is about the time we started covering it. It was very good, pretty accurate, and they still kind of remain that way. And they're just based on volume weighted deviations over time periods. So you're coming into support potentially on multiple different ways to look at the market. This is just the most simple way, in my opinion, because it's just a singular line. We know it's the 6 standard deviation and we know where it resides. But if you were to look at this as, are we going to get a bounce after the FOMC? You certainly could, especially if you're coming into support. You're still going to want to monitor the order flow, things like that. At least the way we trade, we're going to be looking to see if we get trapped shorts, if we're getting buyers coming in trying to push price higher and put them underwater to get that move. This is going to be the region I have an eye on. Now, you've got other things to consider once you get into that region, and I'll get rid of these except for the +6 to be honest with you. That'd be this one. Perfect. So I'm going to leave that up. And if you just start looking at the chart from just a market structure perspective, this is a monthly chart here. So you can see that we've obviously got some resistance here. You're just by and large range bound right now. That's all this has been for the last 3, almost 4 months. And to me, that's very, very indicative of what we did kind of over here during the, right after the Rona dump, and we came up and consolidated underneath the 10,500 level. This is right at the halving. That's why I bring this up. So again, after the halving, what did we do? Halving was on May 11th, I believe, or maybe it was the 16th, but you went sideways all the way till the end of July. So really a long time. Now the halving came in for us a little bit sooner than that, obviously. But it kind of remains the same that we said we'd expect a range bound market here. You're consolidating underneath the all-time high. So if you do get that, bounce from this zone, you go to the weekly time frame, you can start seeing things, especially on the biweekly is the one I've been watching. You've got a biweekly SFP that you're going to want to be keeping an eye on, and then just a basically a horizontal closure. So you can see this is where traders have been settling up right here, about 64,000. So somewhere between 64,000 and 65,164 is where I'm looking to for the next area of support. You could easily just throw a box on there, set an alert, and just relax. Let Jerome Powell say whatever he's going to say. The reporters are going to ask far more important questions, most likely afterwards. And then if you're looking for, some hopium, realistically, you're looking for a change of behavior. And we almost kind of had it right here where you can see that we hadn't closed above 67,243 in quite some time. If you go to the daily now, you can see that's where has been our support. We closed above it, but now we're giving the level back up. This candle that I just showed you does close at the end of the week. So it would be nice if we could close above 67. But maybe we do get that bounce into this zone first. I think a lot of people will panic. And you can see this is also where buyers have become present again, is at or below this level. So this is going to be a pretty important region of the chart for me.
And what was that number again, Magic? Sorry, what was that price
between
number?
64,003 up to 65,164. If you really wanted to get into it, you could probably isolate it better with you've got 64,930. This is going to be an old daily naked point of control and weekly pivot that was left untapped, which those can become really good supports. And it's coming in right here. So in that $65,000 range, this is going to be a key area. And if we're coming into that and we see the things we need to see to take a long trade, and history says, that's what happens in terms of like these meetings, then sure, history might repeat itself. If you were looking at it in terms of breakout, your value area low is just beneath it. So yeah, you should be coming into major support here about that same time. So your setup is valid based on, historical data and based on support. But 67,243 again, kind of the key area to reclaim. And that's just that bi-weekly level. It's also the point of control of your overall range. So it is one of those things where, if you're living above this, you can challenge back into the value area high. It's a very simple way to look at the market. Above point of control, good, go to the highs of the range, below, go to the lows of the range, right? So that's really all you're watching. It's just watching to see what happens at 67.2 right now. And then if it gives us this dip into here, that's where I want to start looking for positions potentially.
Amazing. I'm looking at the rest of the markets here, Magic, and obviously everything's kind of down. I'm looking at, BNB was the first altcoin to make a new all-time high this cycle, getting up to over $700. I'm also looking at Solana down 10% over the last 24 hours, down 13% over the last 7 days. We're seeing a lot of volume on Solana, not only stablecoin volume, but transaction volume as well, in reference to maybe some NFTs, meme coins, launching tokens and smart contracts. But Solana at 147.64, what does that setup look like? Could this potentially be a good point to maybe get some long exposure to Solana as the network activity continues to ramp up? It's only common sense to think that, hey, network activity is going to ramp up. We should see a pretty big bounce back from Solana. What is the chart telling you?
So Solana's got a pretty simple chart for me. This is a box I've had marked out, and then this 180.93, obviously. And then if you went out a little further, your resistance was quite obvious. It was right here. I was hoping to push above the all-time high and get the short off the 1-to-1, because I think I gave that on Investing Bros. I gave a short for this asset as it was approaching this region. I said we'd probably induce quite a bit of shorts here, and that realistically you want to see about 137 to 143.91 really holding as support. And the main reason being is you got to like the weekly, you can kind of see why you're coming into this region. Now, if you start losing that and giving it up, if you flip that into resistance, there's almost nothing between you and we'll just call it $100 even, maybe a little lower.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's everything right now. It's kind of the Bitcoin show. It has been the whole cycle. And I hate to be that guy who beats that drum because, Solana is actually a town in Kansas. It's a town in Kansas, actually. Yeah, it's not a great town, trust me. But if you're from Salina, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, but you guys know what you are. But
second shot fired.
Yeah, we'll take our shot. We'll play the odds here. But yeah, you're kind of just range bound. You want to see this kind of just like Bitcoin at 65K. You want to see it coming into this region at the same time Bitcoin's coming into support, and kind of play the market that way until the markets differentiate each other. If you lose this, I would just be patient and wait for some of these lower levels to get those discounts you're looking for. Because to me, that would just be the wise play. I believe you've already done the gold pocket retrace on this, most likely. Yeah, you have. So yeah, coming back below this, I mean, realistically, I'd start looking for that like quarter one in POC down at like 97.80. I would really just start pulling averages. And the reason I say that is we're not trying to be perfect. What we are trying to do is find areas that start to make sense in terms of purchases, like when is it on sale, so to speak? How many deviations can I get away? And this is showing you, really basic stuff with like a pivot in this case, but it's just showing you like 113 and then 82. Where does this thing change its mind at? Above 163 if you're only using that indicator. So if you start a position here and it's a good position, great. I would just treat this as its own little range. In that case, I would probably just start pulling something in terms of like a time-based range. This being a quarterly look here, this is from April 1st and it'll go till the end of June. You could say, okay, if we get the bounce here, my resistance comes in pretty close to that 163 level at the top of my volume profile. I might consider taking some profits, or you can use Fibonacci, whatever it is. So this will be support, but once it's lost, I think that you'll probably start looking a little bit lower. And what you're looking at here is the naked point of control from quarter one. And so for anyone that doesn't know what that is that when you establish like a time-based range, in this case, so this is from the 1st of January till now, you have obviously a volume range that's based on one standard deviation, then an area of most volume, and that's the point of control. And these are often tested before a range resolves. So you'll come back and back test them. And you have to think there's a lot of players that have transacted there. So there are positions that will be changing hands or people will be stopped out. So generally they're good places to take trades from in certain contexts. And so they can also become targets where you can start looking at them in terms of like a fill rate and a mean reversion. So in this case, we'll get rid of this. You would be looking at this as if you are finding your way back into this range. You can see the value area high here is tagged up on this old yearly pivot. I'll hide that real quick. And we'll move this guy just so that everything's a little easier. So what you're noticing is quarter one's value area high lines up with the point of control of this quarter, meaning that this needs to remain support. If you lose that point of control and this value area high from a historical range here, and you're not recovering specifically the point of control at 143, you're probably looking to cycle down to like that 97.80 region. And that's why, you have to have your invalidation. It's not always going to play out this way and be perfect, but it does kind of give you a grounding so that you guys can stay patient and go, when is it going to end? Well, we didn't hold the area we needed to, so I need to remain patient for this area. However, if it reclaimed it, I should be willing to change my mind. It's not about being a fortune teller. It's just about playing the probabilities and understanding where you have the best chances to make money, because this is, I wouldn't call it certified gambling, but that's what trading is. It is gambling to a degree. So you do need to be judicious with when you take trades. That's why I always say, don't be bearish, don't be bullish, just take the best trade. And that's really all you have to do. And so with Solana, you have a trade approaching, a potential trade. If that trade is good, hop in the market, man. If not, be patient, wait for these like 97, 80, maybe even it comes back down to like $70. We don't know. You kind of have to judge once you get there. But if you're a dollar cost average guy, this is another great way to justify your dollar cost averaging, unless you're just on a time basis. I would never dollar cost average into altcoins personally, maybe Ethereum if the timing of the market was right. But dollar cost averaging into altcoins traditionally is a terrible idea long term, because everything just bleeds to zero after one cycle, it seems like.
Interesting.
They're all good for one cycle. They're one and dones.
Magic, I want to, charts aside, I kind of want to ask you, some people watching might not be into charts, so they might see a chart and they might see what you're doing and feel like, hey, I will never be able to do that, right? And of course, we encourage people to learn how to do things. But my general question for you is this, right? We're in a bull market, right? I think we all agree to that. We're in a bull market. Obviously, bull markets, you're still going to get pullbacks. Is there a number? Is it 8%, 10%? If you're getting these kinds of drawdowns in the top projects, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, Chainlink, go down the top 50, is there like a number that you're like, okay, it's down 10%, maybe add to your bag? And of course, none of this is financial advice, but is there something basic like that you tell people, maybe friends and family, or
Yeah, inside of an uptrend, you can certainly do stuff like that, where let's say you're making obvious higher highs and higher lows. There are people out there that will take a position after a 10% dump, right? And it's not a bad strategy to go. It's just what I would do is make sure that when you're doing that, I would do weighted entries. If it were me, I would just say, okay, at 10%, let's say it's just like gambling, just like sports betting. I've done some of that in my day. So you divide everything up into units and you just say, let's say you have $100 and you're going to have 100 units. So you would weight them. So at 10%, I'm really only willing to risk 3 units. But if it goes down 20%, I would like to weight that more than the 10% and maybe use 5 units or 6 units, because that's a better value to me without exposing yourself entirely. I think that's where most people go wrong, is they have too much exposure all at once. They can't remain patient. And so when the dip keeps dipping, they're out of money. They're fully allocated, I think is what I saw. I think you put the meme up on Twitter. I thought that was pretty funny.
He's fully allocated.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that one.
That was such
I actually got asked that question on a Piper's show. He was like, when will you consider yourself fully allocated? And I was like, I got like 20%. I still have that cash. And I never did anything with it because the opportunity didn't present itself for me to want to put it in the market. So I just hung on to it, and I'm just kind of waiting for the right opportunity. And when that comes, I'll pull the trigger and trade with it at that time. Awesome. But that's what I would say is just, find a system that works for you, write it down. I would encourage everyone that's watching, even if you're not a trader and you're just like, I'm just in this market because I hope that I'm investing in something new and exciting. And it is, and it could lead to, life-changing money for me. And that could be huge for me down the road. Write down your plan. You have to have some basis of a plan, write it down. And it's got to be between you and yourself. You don't need anyone else's opinion on that. You can certainly, seek out advice. I'd just be careful how far into that advice you get, but, just have some kind of structure and then hold yourself accountable. And, investing can be quite easy and quite fun. I think that a lot of people really miss that part of it, where it's like, most of my money is not traded. It's invested long-term because they just keep printing dollars. It doesn't make sense to risk it in trading when I know that if I just keep it in the market, it's going to do quite well over time, because our central bank has just got the money printer itch, and our government can't do without it. So, until that changes, I don't see any reason why you would want to trade too much of your capital. The safer plays are better.
That is such great insight, Magic. And I'll even take it a step further. The money you make on the overinflated fiat currency, eventually you want to convert that into hard money assets or hard commodities like gold, silver, Bitcoin. I want to ask Rob the same question. Rob, charts aside, people might be watching and saying, like, during bull market, is there a percentage drawdown where I should deploy my dry powder on the sidelines? Is there a number in your mind, or is there a thesis or strategy you have?
I think Magic nailed it there. He said that, you shouldn't be DCAing for the long term on altcoins. I think when you look at buying in the bear market DCA, you're not getting good value. I mean, realistically, on a long-term horizon. And so the way I look at a bull market, it's like, hey, there are some undervalued altcoins right now. Let me DCA in, but at the same time, I have a DCA out strategy on a short-term time horizon, and putting together a plan for investing and having your target DCA in. You also should have a target DCA out, and until the trend is broken, I'm going to assume that the altcoin markets are going to increase in value, that all of a sudden altcoin A, which we've made fun of Solana here, so we can go to Solana, and Solana is a great ecosystem, but from a value perspective, from where the market is pricing Solana, probably not the best time to DCA into it, and especially if you're going to hold Solana for 4 years. 5 years, you're going to get a lot better value later on the back end of a bull market, right? And so from a DCA perspective, I think like you kind of lost that bargain value. And if you're going to be DCAing on Solana, I think the time, obviously this is in hindsight, but the time to do so was when it was under $100. Now it's, maybe it's priced correctly, but regardless, more than likely it's probably not going to have that many more X's to go, right? You're not going to get 10 to 20X returns on Solana at this point moving forward. Now, maybe the market will shock us. Maybe something will happen. But more than likely, the way that I'm looking at it is that one is kind of already, people have already made their money. Now, if I were going to take a position on Solana, I would be on a very short time horizon, right? I do think that there's more room to run. I think that it could possibly get to $1,000. I think $500 to $800 is something I would expect to see at some point in time from them, and perhaps it gets to 2,000. I'm not exactly sure where it'll finally land, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to pull back at some point, and the rest of the altcoin markets will as well. I think that the downside risk of entering into a project that's ran so heavily outweighs the returns, right? And so for me, I look at altcoins on a very small time horizon. I would say 1 year at this point, 18 months, 2 years at most. And I will DCA in, but I will also have that DCA on the back end. And I'm going to put price targets. Say, hey, you know what? I'm happy with a 3X. I'm happy with a 5X. I'm happy with a 6X. Those are big returns too. And so tame your expectations. Put something realistic. Leave a little bit of money on the table in case it goes parabolic. Diversify. DCA into your strong projects. Take a little bit more risk in the smaller ones. And have self-control and don't sell in the middle of the night or when all of a sudden you see a red candle. That's kind of the go-to strategy for me. And I think fundamentally,
Those damn middle of the night sales, man.
Yeah,
You wake up in a cold sweat, check the portfolio is down. Let me sell everything.
Whatever you do, don't
Man,
ever.
I remember getting into crypto back in like 2017 and like checking my phone in the middle of the night constantly. Those were the days, man. Now I just sleep through. I used to set alerts and wake up to trade certain levels. I don't do that anymore either. But when I first started, yeah, that was very common, and everyone in crypto did it. We all knew it. We all talked about it. It was like something that was like we thought was acceptable.
Yeah.
Just how many times you check your phone at midnight? Wow.
I mean, I still do, but it's for the show purposes, guys. Okay, it's not because anything.
You're in crypto now. You have to.
Yeah, I just I mean, I'll just end it at this. For me, I have maybe 4 projects that I feel comfortable DCAing without any care of a upcoming bear market, right? And I have utmost certainty that they're going to return in a previous run, right? Or a run.
One
to
of them
come.
Hex.
Yeah, it's definitely not Hex. No. So
But Richard Hart said it only goes up into the right.
No, Bitcoin, Ethereum. I think those are good at DCAs. I don't think there's ever really a bad time to buy it. I mean, obviously, if it runs up 30% or something like that in a couple of weeks, wait for the pullback. But for me, I mean, DCAing into those 2 projects. Big fan of Chainlink. I think we got a Chainlink video coming out later. I think that's going to be here for a while. I don't see any. I don't see any realistic competition, and they're expanding utility and partnership. So those are kind of my top 3 as far as DCA. But then everything outside of that, even my favorite projects, I just think that the market hasn't established them with staying power yet. And shorter term DCA and take profits during this bull market. It's vastly different than the investment strategy during a bear market where, hey, everything is down 90%, 70%, whatever it is, and it's a bargain. Throw a dart, you'll make some money. That time's kind of past. There are still a lot of bargains out there. It's just that 100x upside is kind of not there for the major alts. Now, if you want to go further down the risk curve, there's still a lot of 100x's out there, but let's be realistic on some of the bigger alts.
Yeah, and the only thing I'll say is don't panic sell or dump on candles, right? If nothing has fundamentally changed for your investment thesis.
Or buy.
Yeah, exactly. If you got into Solana because you believe they were going to onboard a ton of users and activity was going to go up and then the price is going down, but none of the other stuff changed, there's really no need to panic sell. And so that's the only thing I'll say is don't panic, right? Stuff goes down, check in on the market, see what's going on, try to find some news, look into your portfolio, look at your projects. Is anything happening? If no, it's just the ebbs and flow of the market. There's really no need to panic.
I would only panic if Elizabeth Warren became president or something. Then I'd be like,
we sell the house.
Screwed. It's over.
Yeah, I would sell Robin on Craigslist. Wonder how much I would get for him. Interesting.
Who uses Craigslist? How old are you, bro?
Well, it's because you're old, so I have to sell you on Craigslist.
He's like, man, I
Anyways.
put these Air Force Ones on Craigslist 2 years ago. They still haven't got any responses yet. I don't understand what's
That's
going on.
because that's where you go to sell people, not shoes, man.
Thank you, Magic. He just doesn't get it, man. He doesn't get it. Magic, we love having you on the show, man. Guys, if you like Magic and you want more Magic Internet money, I did pin the link to his Discord to the top of the chat. Make sure you go in there, join the Discord. A lot of good stuff in there, not just from Magic and Max, but from the community as well. And Magic's been coming on our channel for quite a while, and there's a reason for that. Magic, we appreciate you, my friend. We love you, brother. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Take care. All right. Before we move forward, I would like to note that Bitcoin is over 67,000 again, seeing a small rally up 1% over the last 1 hour. What else is up is our channel sponsors up for sponsoring this show today, and it is none other than Legacy Network. If you're into bettering yourself and making money at the same time, Legacy Network has you covered. Their app is launching this month. Recommend you go join their Telegram. The link is in the description of this video so you can stay up to date on everything Legacy Academy. That app is absolutely amazing. Cannot wait for you guys to download it and try it. Really, really good stuff. So big thank you to Legacy Network.
And then also, we just got a $5 super sticker from Lethal on 2 Wheels. And then also, if you are new here, we almost got 300 live viewers, but not even 100 likes, which means we're at a sub 30% like ratio. I call on you, the community, to smash that like button. Support us, help us out. And if you are new here, please say something in the chat so that way I can say what up. We do got a few new faces. We got Here We Go Crypto, Jason Turner, Lucky Luke, I'm No Trash, Eric Carlson, Dan A. Victor, Ordinal Revolution, Jack Moores, and Michael Cartwright. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
It's a big piece of news here. The biggest bank in the world, right? The Commercial Bank of China, $6.2 trillion. In their latest thesis or letter to investors, they've touched on crypto and Bitcoin, and more specifically, Ethereum. They have called Bitcoin, they've said a few things. One, Bitcoin has unique cross-border transfer and payment functions. Bitcoin may benefit from the end of the US dollar rate cycle and the debt crisis in marginal countries. And Bitcoin retains a scarcity similar to gold through mathematical consensus while solving its problem of being difficult to divide, difficult to identify authenticity, and inconvenient to carry. They also went on to say that Ethereum is like digital oil. Talk about all the time, yeah, Bitcoin, digital gold, digital gold. Well, what about Ethereum? What about the rest of the altcoins? It seems like people are latching on to this fact that digital oil, it makes the economy run. You need gas and oil for everything, transporting goods, the supply chain, going to work. I mean, all of that, right? Travel, everything, right? And so very interesting to see these large institutions, these banks, and it might not be significant to you because like, well, I already knew that. Well, guess what? We're trying to onboard. There's 7 billion people in the world, and less than 0.5% own any Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. And so we're trying to get that number up. And how do we do it? People follow, people trust the institutions that they're used to, the people that they're used to, these large influential people. I mentioned Tucker Carlson in the beginning of the show. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, this is pretty big. The world's largest bank, Robin. And a lot of people are saying, hey, we're going to see crypto return to mainland China. I know we have the Hong Kong thing, but that's not mainland China. We're talking about the second largest economy in the world. We saw Bybit just open registration in China. That is one of the big factors people are taking into account. Hey, saying, hey, look, we're going to get the biggest bull run we've ever had. And one of the reasons to point to is mainland China. Now you got the largest bank in the world, which is in China, coming out with this thesis and this projection of Bitcoin and Ethereum. What are your thoughts here?
I would say this is like the BlackRock of China. I know BlackRock's not a bank, but, you know, obviously banks, they lead the financial sector. And so largest bank globally, largest bank in China, getting behind Bitcoin, getting behind crypto. It's very reminiscent or very similar to what we've seen from BlackRock and Larry Fink, and maybe the power players globally, maybe the people that have money, the institutions, the banks, they're taking note, even though it might be a U.S. based investment firm or asset manager. There's got to be other people globally like, hey, man, we need to make some more money here. Look what BlackRock's doing. And then not to mention, you have JP Morgan exposure, Wells Fargo exposure, and I forget the other. There's a list of names, but it seems like one by one, the dominoes are falling. And now the exception is not to have a position on it, right? You could say that the banks and institutions or financial institutions all have a hand in crypto at this point, with an exception of a few, which was a vast contrast to where we were just a year ago, right? Where the exception was this person has, or this institution has crypto, everyone else is staying out. And so it's been a very big shift. And now we're starting to see that other countries are taking notice as well. And these are the big headlines. But there's also banks. I know we were talking about Turkey. There's a lot of progressive movement in Korea, Hong Kong, also obviously progressive. The EU is moving in the same direction the United States is now. So it's very interesting to see how we got here. And it's all affirmation that the bull market is here, it's coming, and that new surge of liquidity that's needed to power a bull market, it's not coming from retail. It's not coming from the GameStop craze. It's coming from these institutions, and the people that hold the most money, the most value, and the most wealth globally are now playing in the sandbox that is crypto and Bitcoin. And so the people that have exposure and have leverage in the system now, like you watching, like myself, like David, we're going to be the ones that benefit the most because we've gotten an allocation and we've gotten exposure at these cryptos at a bargain price, and big money is going to come in and just rip this price up. And so really excited about headlines like that.
I'm also really excited about our production team today. We got Lobster Leg in house.
Lobster Leg.
We got Ashley. Ashley, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're great. Very quiet today. Just wanted to check in on you. You know, it's like Robin when
Lobster Leg.
Lobster Leg. There's a story behind that, and maybe we'll talk about it later in the show. But we also have Chase on audio today. So big shout out to our production team. If you're new to the channel, we run a tight ship here, right?
I don't know if there's tight ship. I think it's a different word.
Oh. Anyways. All right, let's talk about so it looks like the markets are kind of starting to bounce back a little bit. Bitcoin's rallying at 67.2 now.
Oh my God.
Well,
sell the house.
Magic talked about that 67.4, I believe, level he said was key. Are we going to get rejected at that level? We'll keep our eye on this throughout the show. But first,
real quick, do you think there's any possibility of a rate cut tomorrow? I know the CME's got it. CME here,
99.9%.
This is
unchanged.
The rate here from the CME, which has pretty much been spot on. It's never really swung and missed, and so 99% pause. But no, man, part of me says that there might be a chance.
You think Elizabeth Warren got to Jerome Powell?
No, but I mean, obviously,
I think inflation is going the wrong way. I think that's the biggest problem. Right. If inflation was going the right way, sure. But I'm going to go with the CME on this one. I don't think we're going to get anything changed. Of course, people are going to try to front run. They're going to try to enter or exit positions based off of what they think Jerome Powell is going to do and say. But at the end of the day, the markets always come back to an equilibrium after, which is why in the beginning of the show, we showed you how Bitcoin and at the larger cryptocurrency markets as a whole, how they react leading up to the FOMC and what they do after the FOMC. So I expect a rally up to 70K again once the FOMC is over tomorrow. And if you want to watch the FOMC live and get our thoughts on what we're going to see in the markets, make sure to tune in tomorrow for our live show. I do want to talk about this. So this is the RSI heat map from coinglass.com. And well, the theory here is when projects are oversold, that is when you want to enter. You can see here the majority of all of crypto, with the exception of a handful, are in oversold territory over the last 12 hours. If we zoom down, you can see here, I have sorted these by the lowest RSI over the last 12 hours. You can see the top 5 include Osmosis, Elf, which I have no idea what that is, SingularityNet, Fetch.ai, and Seller. So these are all under 20 on the RSI map, which is heavily oversold. If you go to the 24-hour, the biggest one here that I'm seeing is OMG Network. Waves is at a 23 on the 24-hour. So this is also another resource you can use if you're curious about, hey, is this a good time to enter a position or add to my position of certain altcoins? Coinglass.com, click on data, RSI heat map, and you can zoom in and see, all right, which ones are heavily oversold. You have Arweave is heavily oversold, Gala is heavily oversold, Thorchain, ENS, ICP is heavily oversold. And so just to kind of give you a better, well-rounded investor and being able to enter and exit markets. And so this is some things that we like to look at. And so we like to share that with you. I mentioned old Tucker Carlson, right? Now, whether you like him, hate him, agree with him, don't agree with him, he's one of the most watched people in the world, right? He carried a major network all pretty much by himself. And well, guess what? He's doing a 15-city USA tour, and his lead sponsor is Swan Bitcoin. So this article from Bitcoinist, Tucker Carlson wants Bitcoin, selects Swan as lead sponsor of national tour. This is a massive opportunity for Bitcoin education, which is what Swan announced, planning to reach hundreds of thousands of people in over 15 cities and potentially millions online through their comprehensive educational offerings. Obviously, for me, this is super bullish. Just the thing about business, right? Every business needs marketing. If you have the best restaurant with the best food, if no one knows about it, it doesn't matter. You're probably going to shut down in 6 months. And so, any thoughts on this, Rob? You think we're going to see more of this, right? Influential names and figures and media.
You know what's surprising, and it's well. First of all, crypto's got big money. Right, they got big budget. You see that one of the largest campaign donators last time around was FTX, number 2 for Biden's camp. So we know that there's plenty of money to go around in sponsorship. So I'm not surprised to say that. But you know what I was surprised at was that he did an interview earlier this week or last week with Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador. Yeah. And, watched this entirety. It was a good one. I recommend checking it out. But there was not one question on Bitcoin there, man. I was like, dude, that was an elephant in the room, right? And, a lot of it was turning around the crime and, what backlash there was and kind of the infrastructure in El Salvador, how quickly it's changing versus the infrastructure and how hard it is to change here in the U.S. But, man, I felt like there was just an opportunity to get a nice plug on Bitcoin, and what a stance from a president to accept Bitcoin as legal tender. Very bold move, and you flipped the thumb at the IMF and other financial institutions that try to just pigeonhole you into using the dollar and the bond system. And yet, here's someone that's saying, hey, you know what? We got our own currency. It's Bitcoin. So I wish you would have asked him about that. But maybe with the sponsorship, he's more inclined to talk about crypto. I hope that he brings on Michael Saylor. Saylor has been on Tucker Carlson's show when he was at Fox. So maybe he'll revisit this now that Swan is a partner. Maybe he'll revisit the interview and do one with him round 2. It's always a good watch when Saylor's on these broadcast networks.
Yeah, and some of those interviews, just watching him orange pill people live, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah, like he did that with Jordan Peterson. That was very interesting.
Yeah. I gotta bring this up. It has nothing to do with crypto, but it's just
shocker.
It's interesting. So this is a statement from President Donald Trump, 45th president. So many people have asked me to comment on the conviction of Hunter Biden. Sleepy Joe's son was found guilty of lying on the application for a gun. Hunter Biden is a terrible person who has funneled millions of dollars from other countries to his father. Even so, it's hard to blame him for wanting a gun, which is a God-given right and under the Second Amendment, probably the greatest amendment of all time. for being totally honest. His father, one of the worst presidents, is more concerned with making gun control people happy. So he won't have a courage to step up and help her. Don't worry, Joe. I will save your son after I get elected for a third time. Exclamation point. And so the little shot there at the end was just
who's a bigger troll, Donald Trump or Elon Musk?
Dude, man. Very polarizing. You know what? I'll say this. The upcoming election, Donald Trump. The reason I kind of highlight these articles is because he takes issues and he makes them very polarizing. And the thing is that Bitcoin is a topic of debate and something that he has gotten behind, and he's been very vocal. He even came out as far as saying, "Hey, if you're for crypto, vote for me." And so I would expect to see some of these statements come out towards crypto and Bitcoin regulation and, hey, look what Biden did. He shot down this bill or proposal or veto and so it's going to be very interesting moving forward in the next few months when it comes to crypto, because it's going to be a topic that's debated and discussed as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be front and center, but it'll definitely be brought up. I really do. And I think through the campaigning, I think people like Trump will continue to bring up crypto and try to rally troops. I mean, we gave you the numbers. There are more people in America that have crypto than have dogs. And so we saw what the whole dog situation in South Dakota with their governor, in her memoir book, saying she had
If I could give you one Shiba Inu puppy or one Ethereum, which one would you take?
The puppy.
Would you?
Yeah. I love Shiba.
What about you watching? If you had to choose from a new Shiba Inu puppy, put a 1 in the chat. Or if you prefer a whole Ethereum valued around $4,000, put a 2 in the chat.
Shiba Inu dogs are expensive. So I think they're around the same price.
Yeah, but then, you also got to have the shots. Puppies chew on furniture, goodbye shoes. And so, or maybe you have a pet dander allergy.
Wow, pet dander allergy. All right, now moving on to some actual crypto. Thanks for that, Rob. Appreciate you a lot there. So I did mention in the beginning of the show, Fidelity has tokenized a money market fund put on JP Morgan's private blockchain. If you remember, JP Morgan has a blockchain called Onyx. Well, Fidelity International has selected JP Morgan's Onyx Digital Assets blockchain to tokenize a money market fund. Who is this bullish for? We don't give a shit about JP Morgan Chase, right? We don't give a crap about their Onyx token or their Onyx blockchain. I don't even think it has a token. Who does this affect positively, Robert? I think the answer is clear here. Right?
Positively?
It's Chainlink. It's Chainlink. Who is the only project that is not only linking public blockchains together, but private with public blockchains? That is none other than Chainlink and CCIP. Rob mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it again. Chainlink video coming out later today. You do not want to miss it. If you've wondered why so many people have been bullish on Chainlink, you're going to want to watch that video. Really, really good.
Wonder why you ask me questions and then not even wait for the answer.
Because you weren't going to say.
Okay.
Okay, so good.
No, we're good.
But I'm right, correct? Do you agree with me? All jokes aside, you agree with me.
I don't think this benefits anybody, even Chainlink, in my own personal opinion.
You don't think it benefits anybody? No one?
I don't.
Not a single project, not a single person.
There's a handful of people at Fidelity that are going to make out on this, but this isn't going to help crypto adoption, in my opinion.
I disagree.
I don't think that.
How will it not help?
It's a tokenized money market fund.
Okay, let me ask you.
It's just another product or service for Wall Street. These people are here just to make money. It's not.
Let me ask you this question. When Hedera, that news came out that Hedera tokenized a fund, a BlackRock fund, a project on Hedera tokenized a BlackRock fund on Hedera. What did we say? We said, hey, although it's not a direct partnership with BlackRock, it's essentially hey, we're going to do this. Watch how we do it. And then in turn, if it's successful, you'll get more of these large institutions and banks and companies maybe take a look at Hedera and say, hey, you know what?
Okay.
We want to tokenize on their fund.
Okay, I'm not saying there isn't any value to it, but I meant from...
That's what you said. You said there's no value. You said it benefits no one.
It does benefit nobody.
Thank you. Wait, what? Yeah. How does it not benefit anyone?
Okay. In the grand scheme, is there a small percentage? Yes. But what I'm saying is that realistically, This is one of many to come. I don't really care if there's a money market fund out there from JP Morgan. Are
you okay? Are you okay?
There's more. Yes, David. Yes. There's more to come. This is the direction we're moving in. I don't look at it as, hey, this is what crypto needed. This is, I just think it's inevitable. I think that you're going to have money market funds move over. And I think that Wall Street will use those products, but I just not as bullish on it.
I cannot disagree with you more. I think this is so bullish for crypto, right? You're going to have some of these institutions and banks that are sitting on the sidelines and they're waiting for companies like BlackRock, companies like Fidelity to tokenize funds. They want to see how it goes. Are they going to make money? Is it really as cheap and fast as they say it is? And by doing this with a trusted partner like JP Morgan Chase,
I'm not saying that real world
in their eyes
is
going to drive it forward. It's not going to be a hindrance. It's going to be a big benefit to the entire crypto, to the entire RWA sector.
Okay, JP Morgan Chase, they have been very outspoken on their disdain for crypto, but yet they still have their toe in the water, right? And I'm not discounting the power of real world tokenized assets. And I'm not talking about trading stocks and having bonds and money market funds. I'm not saying that those themselves aren't important. I'm just saying that JP Morgan, that issuer, is not going to drive the market, or at least not in any substantial way. I think that they're doing it because
way to pivot,
BlackRock.
Way to pivot.
No, I think they're doing it because BlackRock is doing it, competitors are doing it, and they don't want to be 100% left out. But for me, I just don't care about JP Morgan's stance on crypto and them launching a money market fund. I think it's pretty insignificant. I don't think that people that are truly passionate about crypto are going to be over there using it.
They're not.
Exactly.
But so Fidelity is launching a tokenized fund on a blockchain. How is that not bullish? Screw JP Morgan Chase. I don't care about JP Morgan Chase. I care about Fidelity and these large asset managers and these IRA funds and these bond issuers. That's who I care about. And if they're willing to launch a tokenized fund on a blockchain, now this one is a private blockchain, guess what? Out of the next 10, 2 or 3 will be on public blockchains. They won't be on JP Morgan Chase's Onyx. And so if it's successful, it could be a massive shot. What is it? Those stem shots in Call of Duty?
It's coming regardless if JP Morgan does it or not. That's what I'm saying. And I think they're late to the party, and it is what it is. And I'm not, the technology is going that direction. Blockchain offers a solution. It's an easy way to offer a ledger, and it's transparent. It solves a lot of the issues that we have with money market funds and also stocks and bonds and how they move. And the settlement obviously is a lot quicker through blockchain and transparent, as I mentioned. So it makes sense. But I just can't get behind JP Morgan and their tokenized fund as a game changer for our industry. So
Digital Asset Degen wants to know, did Robin bump his head or is he severely dehydrated? I think he's severely dehydrated. Maybe he bumped his head on the way in. Who knows? Speaking of bumping heads and really not getting anywhere, let's talk about Polygon here. Polygon unveils 1 billion, the POL token program to boost developer engagement. Interesting here. So Community Treasury Initiative will be funded with 1 billion. Some of you may know it as Matic. It's changing to the POL token to service their entire ecosystem. So 1 billion tokens, which will be distributed over the next 10 years to drive developer engagement on the network. The tokens will be sourced from 1% of the network's annual token emissions. Polygon has been extremely underwhelming. Let me take a look at it. It's dropped super far down the list. Near Protocol has jumped over it in terms of market cap value. So has Bitcoin Cash, Chainlink, Polkadot. Polygon was a top 10 project. 62 cents. Just look at their chart here as it loads. Look at the 1 year chart. I mean, it had a massive rally up to around $1.27. This was in March of this. Wait, is that correct? March of this year? Interesting. March of this year. And then it's completely spilled off and volume has decreased and it's just been trending down.
This chart says it all right here. You have the Matic versus Bitcoin on the 1 year. It has been a no-brainer to hold Bitcoin. And so why take on any risk holding something else is always my conclusion here on Matic. And you can say maybe this is a good entry position. It has been selling off against Bitcoin.
Is it?
For
What's
quite
your
some time.
thesis on Matic?
But I just think that there needs to be a reason for a rebound, right? And what reason or what case would you make for Polygon? Outside of maybe that news. Is that news that news isn't going to turn the market?
No,
right?
it's not.
And so,
Polygon.
What essentially would? Now they have a history of big partnerships or big name partnerships,
And a lot of that they paid for.
yeah. But also those partnerships, a lot of it is tied to NFTs, right?
Starbucks dropped their program. That was on Polygon.
But
Polygon paid him $4 million.
But it wasn't a lot of it NFT based.
It was.
And NFTs are down.
Okay, so do you think when NFTs come back, maybe Polygon comes back?
You said if, or you said when. My question is
Okay.
if. Because here's the thing. I do think that non-fungible tokens or tokenization is coming back. I just don't think that what we saw last bull market is. This 10,000 JPEGs stamped onto a blockchain seems a little asinine, right? As far as like, hey, why would you take the risk there? There's a lack of liquidity in those markets. Maybe it turns around. I'm not sure. But my gut says the market as we used to know it ain't coming back. Do you agree? Do you think that?
I tend to agree. I think you're gonna have maybe five like blue chip projects, and I'm talking like CryptoPunks, Bored Apes. I think those will have staying power just because of the historical importance and value of it. But I think everything else, it's kind of already gone to zero.
I think the randomized JPEG versions, I think that's toast, man. I truly believe that artistry and artists will tokenize their art, their digital art, and I think that they'll sell it as unique pieces, right? And so maybe Banksy or some of these big names will just create art. They'll put it on the blockchain, and it'll be a one of one, right? Or perhaps they'll just make 10 art pieces, something that a little bit more scarcity. I think that's a little bit more realistic. That's how art trades now. You're not minting 10,000 Picassos, but Picassos, there are prints as well. And so, you have one of 10, maybe one of 20. Sometimes you get prints up to 100, but generally speaking, you don't go up into 10,000 prints for these high-end demand artists, because also in-demand artists know that if you produce too many prints, it's hard to get a good return or hard to keep a value on each one of those. And so I think the same will hold true for NFTs. I think that from a art perspective, it's going to shift to a more scarce version that's a little bit more desirable collectibles that are very unique.
Yeah, I'm definitely more bearish on Polygon than I was a few months ago. I still have so we did a video, sold Polygon for ICP. I still have a bag of Polygon left over, and I do think it'll rally. But it's definitely my worry with Polygon is they're trying to do too much. They're trying to do this and that aggregator layer and zero knowledge and this and then the token migration, and we're going to combine all of it. And it's like, just got one thing going for you, just stick with it, right? Get market dominance and then start to go to other things, right? Why is Bitcoin worth $1.2 trillion? Got one use case. Why is In-N-Out so popular? It's got 3 burgers, cheeseburger, hamburger, and double. So sometimes less is more versus trying to go into 20 different directions and not really capturing the market dominance of any one sector, kind of playing the middle of the road on all of them and watching your competitors outshine you where they're specifically strictly focused on one sector of the market or solving one issue. So I think that's the biggest problem with Polygon.
Okay, would you, just from the other tokens in the same kind of market cap region or area, You have here Polygon versus Near,
all day long.
Polygon versus Chainlink.
Chainlink, all day.
Yeah, Polygon versus Litecoin.
Polygon.
Okay, I figured that.
What about you?
I agree with all of those.
Okay.
Polygon versus Uniswap.
Polygon. Actually, I'll go Uniswap. I think
I still think Polygon's undervalued. I think that the market hasn't priced Polygon appropriately. I do think that these other projects are way better hold for me, but I do think that there's upside to come for Polygon, even though I might be a little down on the actual blockchain. I think that it should be around 90 cents. I think would be where I would expect Polygon to be at, and so a 50% run from here, I think is in the cards. I think that that's pretty realistic, and I can't say the same for Uniswap. I don't know if it'll get up to $20. I know that's over 2x, but I'm just saying that Uniswap's kind of ran hot lately, with its expanded utility outside of governance. But it did have a big run up to $14.
that was that speculation, and then the Wells notice dropped, right?
Yeah, and then $10. So, I mean, I don't know. I still like Polygon as a better play compared to Uniswap, but just interesting how it's fallen down the list. ICP down here at 24, I think is we nailed it on that video. Selling Polygon for ICP. I think that ICP will dramatically outperform Polygon this bull market.
I want to know what the chat thinks. Are you still bullish on Polygon? Put a 1 for yes, put a 2 for no, out of just sheer curiosity. I'm curious. Also, guys, as mentioned, tomorrow is FOMC day. We'll be covering that live on the show. We'll be giving our thoughts, keeping a close eye on the markets. How will markets react? Will we see a big dump? What are some levels you should be looking out for? Maybe some limit order or some buy orders, market orders. Or maybe is it time, if the markets start rallying, what are some levels of resistance? Should we maybe decide to take some profits? 9? What's wrong with you? And so definitely don't miss that. Also, again, Chainlink video drops in about 1 hour. Really, really, really good video. You do not want to miss it. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. People are still bullish. Wait, they're not. Wait, 2 is not bullish, correct?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Shout out to Russell Manuel. Remember Russell was around when we had like 300 subscribers?
Yeah, he's one of the long-term viewers here. Big shout out to our whales as well. And to those of you that support the channel, all of the members here, hodlers, regular crypto. What's our entry level? Is it forget? We have
Sinners.
The sinners, yeah, that's right. And then you also have the whales. And so big shout out to y'all. And then also we're waiting for our newest whale member. We got a pretty cool animation. I'm sure that some of y'all have seen it. So we use all those funds to support the channel and get this thing off the ground.
Yeah. So there you go. And that'll do it for the show today. Anyone have anything they would like to add?
What about you, gravy leg?
Okay, would you like to tell people why? Well, you first. I think you're there. You go. Speaking to Mike.
I just get a new name every day, or what?
Well, no. I think lobster leg is a good one. But do you want to tell people why I've been calling you lobster leg all morning?
I got sunburnt. There's like not a big story to it.
Is it because of Jimmy?
What about Jimmy?
Didn't Jimmy give you money to get a tan, and you decided to get sunburnt?
Well, I decided to go outside, hoping it would work,
okay.
but instead I just got red.
Okay, fair enough. And it's very weird because she's only red on one leg by her knee on her thigh. Very interesting. Interesting there. So, anyways, if you enjoy Ashley and the lobster leg, she'll be here all week. So come back. All right, man. That'll do it. Ashley. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. Ping the notification bell and drop a brola in the Chainlink comments if you're watching it and you watch today's live. Until then, my friends, I'll see you tomorrow.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado